Hi guys, Marcia here with Kichi B Styles, and I'm here to share my new indie pattern, the Sanai Slip Dress. The Sanai Slip Dress is your classic slip dress with all of my favorite features: the deep V-neck, the adjustable straps, asymmetrical seam lines for contrasting with ease, and the versatility, you guys. You can carry her from fall to summer with no problem. Layer her up in the fall and the winter, and wear her as she is in the spring and the summer. So if you haven't grabbed this pattern yet, I'll drop the link in the description below. Grab your supplies and materials, and let's get to it. So let's get started. You should already have all of your pieces cut out and your markings placed on your pattern pieces. If you haven't already, go ahead and do that. We're going to start with the upper bodice. You should have cut 2 pieces of this, of the main fabric, and 2 pieces of the lining. I'm going to work on the lining as I go. So just know if you've cut 2 pieces for lining, to go ahead and do those pieces the same way you're doing your main pieces. So with right sides facing, we're going to create darts. And there should be markings or dots where you're going to match and pin those darts together, lining up the raw edges and the dots. I'm going to use my pins and I'm going to pin them in place. And you're going to do this for all 4 pieces. So once you have your dart pinned, it should look like this. And you're going to take it to the machine, starting at the dot. You're going to stitch your dart and start the taper off till you get to the large dot that's right here at the point. Let's go ahead and do those for all 4 pieces. So for your dart, you're going to be using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and we're starting at the edge, back stitch, and stitch all the way through. You're going to stitch through your dot just a bit and leave a string like that. And then you're going to tie this string off so that your dart is secure. And you should have all 4 pieces done as far as the dart goes, and you can go ahead and clip into the dart just a little bit closer and press the dart open with your iron, and do that for all 4 pieces. Now we're going to take our lower bodice and make sure you have your lower bodice with the top pointed up and with right sides facing. We're going to match up our edges and our dots and pin it in place. You can do the sides one at a time, and then once you get them pinned, take it to the machine and stitch 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so now that you have your front bodice completed, we're going to go ahead and stitch that last seam connecting the top bodice together from dot to dot. I'm going to go ahead and pin it and then take it to the machine and give it a stitch. Making sure to start at that dot, that lower dot. I'm going to lower my needle and I'll take the pin out, lower my foot, and stitch. And back stitch right there at that dot. You're going to go ahead and press that seam that you just sewed up or stitched up open and move the front aside. And for the lining pieces, you're going to repeat that last step, that last stitch, and stitch together the center part of the upper bodice. from dot to dot. Take it to the machine and give it a stitch. Okay, so now you're going to grab your upper back piece and your lower back piece. And with right sides together, we're going to match up the bottom of the upper piece to the top of the lower piece. I'm going to take this to the machine after you pin it and just do a straight stitch with 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. There should be notches here that you're matching up and notches on this side that you're matching up. Let's straighten that up just a little bit. There we go. Just going to straighten up that seam just a little bit there. And you're going to stitch all the way to the end. And make sure you back stitch. Once you finish the back pieces, go ahead and press your back seam up towards the upper back piece. And then we're going to grab the lining pieces for the back. You have your upper lining piece. And you're going to grab your lining piece for the front. And we're going to go ahead and connect the seams for that one. We're only going to do one side so that you leave room for your zipper. And then once you get that pinned, you can take it to the machine and stitch a 5/8 of a seam allowance. So we're going to go ahead and set our lining aside, and we're going to grab our skirt side front and our front skirt. And you should have 2 of each of these because the front skirt and the back skirt are going to look the same. You have 2 panels for each. So we're just going to grab the front 2 and we'll set the back 2 aside. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pin the middle seam together, matching the 3 notches at the bottom and the raw edges with right sides together. Go ahead and pin that seam together, and then we'll take it to the machine and give it a stitch. All right, so we'll take that to the machine and stitch a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. So go ahead, after you get your middle seam, go ahead and either press it to the side or press it open, and make sure you do this also for your back panel pieces. All right, so now we're going to take our bottom front piece and our top front piece, and with right sides facing and notches lined up, we're going to pin the bottom top front bodice to the bottom skirt using our pins or clips. And then once you have this pinned or clip, you can take it to the machine and give it a stitch. And here are my clips. I'm matching up my notches right here. And there is also a notch on this side too. There we go. Okay, so once you have that skirt sewn to your bodice, go ahead and press your seam out or down, and make sure you do the same thing for your back piece. We are going to take our back skirt and we're going to take the upper back piece and line up the seams just the way we did them for our front, matching the notches and the raw edges. You're going to pin it and then take it to the machine and give it a stitch. Okay. All right, we're going to use 5/8 of an inch seam allowance and stitch a straight edge on the machine. Okay, so now we're going to take our back piece and our front piece and go ahead and stitch the back and the front together. With right sides together, we're going to match up our raw edges, our seams and our raw edges and our notches. We're just gonna do the right side because we're putting the zipper in the left side. So go ahead and pin those two pieces together, and then we'll take it to the machine and stitch it. So now we can take it to the machine and stitch 5/8 of an inch seam allowance on that long edge. Make sure to take your pins out if you can. Let's open up that seam, make sure it's open. Now you can go ahead and serge the seam or go ahead and press it open. Okay, so now we're going to install our zipper, and you're going to need an invisible zipper for this project. You only need is 18-inch invisible zipper, but I usually get one that's longer, and I'll just cut it and modify it to fit. I went ahead and pressed my zipper open, and you're going to open up your zipper, zip it out and open up. And we're going to go ahead and pin the right side together with the right side of the dress, and you want to match it right at the top of the tape to the top of the bodice, and go ahead and pin it all the way down. And we're going to stop right above the notch. And there should be a notch. I don't know if my notch caught on the front side. There should be a notch on the front and the back. I don't think I caught that notch, but it's right here. I did get the back notch. All right, so there should be a notch on the front and the back. So make sure you going to put your last pin at the notch, and that's where we will stop our stitch. Okay, so I'm going to take it to the machine. I'm going to use my invisible foot, my invisible zipper foot, and I'm going to stitch close to the crease where I have pressed it open. Okay, so I have my invisible zipper foot here, and I'm going to go ahead and switch it out. And then I will go ahead and place my fabric under there, and you want to make sure you get the zipper tape, or actually the zipper, in that groove. Alrighty, here we go. I'm gonna take that out. There we go. And it's best to use a zipper foot if you have it, because it does get closer than the regular zipper foot. Invisible, it's best to use invisible zipper foot if you have it, because it gets closer. Okay, we're getting close to that end here. Take that out. Okay. And that's where we're going to stop and back stitch. And so now we're going to go ahead and take the opposite side of that zipper. Let's go ahead and open it up. Let's take the opposite side of that zipper, and we're going to line it up with the other side, just like we did with the previous side. And we're going to pin it. And I've also gone ahead and pressed open the tape on this side of the zipper. All right, so I'm gonna stop it at that notch there. And after we've done that, so now We're gonna go ahead and stitch that using our invisible zipper foot the same way we did the other side. And then we'll give the seam a press, or the zipper a press, a light press, so everything lays down flat. So let's take it to the machine and go ahead and do that. And it really helps when you press your zipper tape down first. It kind of opens it up so they can get a smoother and a better stitch around that zipper crease. But don't use too high of a heat, because you don't want to melt or distort your zipper. That's the only thing. Okay. We're going to go ahead and finish this off, and then we'll be done. Okay, so once you have your invisible zipper done, we're going to finish closing up that left side. So we have a perfectly straight zipper there. Make sure that it opens. And so now we're going to go back to that side seam, and we're going to close it up. Go ahead and match that bottom seam together. They should match up with the pin, and line up right sides together, the front and the back, the remaining of that seam, and we're going to pin it. Make sure you're lining those raw edges up. It's kind of slippery, so sometimes they get off, but just check to make sure they're lined up well. And so I am going to pin close to here. Actually started that one a little bit too far down, so just gonna open up a bit. All right, so you should have stopped at the notch. And I'm actually going to pin at that notch as soon as I get this slippery piece together here. So that'll be my stopping spot. All right, so I'm going to take this to the machine, and I'm actually going to start from the bottom and come up. That's a little easier for me to do. If it works better for you to start from the top, then go ahead and do so. Don't forget to go ahead and switch your zipper foot back to your standard zipper foot. All right, I'm going to stick that in there. 5/8 of an inch seam allowance is what you want. Okay. Don't forget the back stitch, and pull your pins out. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and make the straps. You should have cut 2 of these long straps. They're about 18 inches long, and 1 of the shorter strap, which is 6 inches long. And this one will be cut in half so that we'll have 2. You're also going to need 2 slides and 2 hoops, These are for bra making and adjustable straps. And you may need your loop turner, depending on how you like to turn your straps and ties. I like to use my loop turner, so I'm going to use the loop turner. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and we're going to make a strap. So with right sides together, you're going to fold your strap in half the long way, matching up the raw edges. And I actually took mine to the ironing board and gave it a press so that I'll get that crease. And do the same thing for your shorter strap. Fold it in half, right sides together, raw edges matching up, and press it. Then we'll take it to the machine and we'll do a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance on the raw edge side. Do this for both your small and your long strap. All right, so we're doing 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to put my stopper here. This 5/8 of an inch should create a 1/2 inch strap. All right. Okay, so now you have your strap sewn, and we're going to take our scissors or our rotary cutter and we're going to trim the edge so that it's probably like a 1/4 of an inch from the stitching, or more like an 1/8 of an inch from the stitching. And then we're going to turn right side out using your whatever method you use. I'll be using my loop turner. And I'm going to take this to the ironing board and I'm going to press it with the seam in the middle, not to the side, with the seam in the middle of one side. All right, I did the same for the smaller strap. So you should have 2 long straps and 1 smaller strap. But what we're going to do with this smaller strap is we are going to cut it in half. It's about 6 inches long. So I'm going to take my rotary cutter and I'm going to cut it 3 inches. So both of them should be 3 inches. And now you have 2 3-inch smaller straps. Now what we're going to do, we're going to make the adjustable straps. So I'm going to take 1 double-sided slider and 1 ring, and I'm going to set the other aside. So go ahead and grab your long strap, and then you're going to take one of your double-sided rings with the wrong side up and the slider flat. You're going to feed one end of the strap in through the slider and pull it through, and then you're gonna bring it back up and slide that same end back through the other side of the slider. And so you have this little hoop here. Now what we're going to do is going to turn it to the back side, and this is going to be your wrong side, of course, and pull the slider up just like so. And then we're going to go ahead and sew that off. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold the end of it so it's concealed. Fold it up and under like that. And I'm going to pin it so that it stays in place, and take it to the machine, and you're going to stitch across the edge and tack it down with the sewing machine. Okay, so here's the back side of my strap, and I'm going to put it under the machine. I'm going to go ahead and release the needle first to pin it down there, and then the foot stitch. It's very short, so make sure you catch it before it runs off on you. Now with the front side facing, we're going to take the loop and we're going to put the loop, we're going to put the strap through the loop, and then we'll turn the strap to the wrong side and take the end that's not folded back through the slider, over the loop, and through to the other side. And then you have your slider completed. So now we have one adjustable strap. I will go through on the second one and show you just how we did it once again. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the hooped end of your long strap. We're going to feed one end into the hoop, the free hoop, and then bring it back through and line up those raw edges, securing it with the pin. So you have two straps here. Now we're going to take the dress, and with the right sides together, we are going to pin the long end to the front between the dots. And we'll pin with the right sides together the short ends at the dot in the back. Now you may have to adjust this. I would say go ahead and stitch down the one in the front, and just to get the right feel of it, go ahead and try on and see if this is the right placement for you for the dot. Some people may like it a little bit snugger if you pull it in. But go ahead and stitch down the front straps. All right, and there you have it. Okay, so I went ahead and stitched down my front straps to the front bodice between the two dots. And I'm going to go ahead and try it on real quick and see if I'm going to keep the straps where they are for the back or if I need to adjust them. All right, so I went ahead and tried it on, and I'm cool with where my back straps are landing. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lining in, and we're going to finish this up. So go ahead and grab your lining. You should have stitched it closed, the back to the front, on your left side and on the left side of the lining. And then we're gonna, with the right sides together, and make sure these straps are down. Line up your edges and seams, leaving open the side with the zipper. We're going to start in the front by pinning the front together. We're going to do some understitching, so we want to go ahead and get the front out of the way first, and then we'll do the underarm in the back. So right now I'm just focusing on pinning together the lining front, lining to the front, and matching up those dots and the middle dot. And I'm going to take this to the machine and we're going to stitch it with a 5/8 seam allowance. And then we'll come back and we'll do the understitching. Now we're going to go ahead and do the understitching, stitching the seam to the lining, close to the seam stitches. All right, make sure you do both sides. And do as close to that strap as you can. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and pin the rest of that lining to the top bodice, lining up those seams and the raw edges. Make sure you have your strap tucked in, like I almost had mine loose. All right, so your strap should be tucked in there so it's not left out. Line that dot up with your, if you did use the dots to place your back strap, you line your dots up with the strap, as I did. And open up that zipper seam and pin that too. All right, so once you get that done, go ahead and take it to the machine and you're going to stitch it. And then we'll understitch just like we did the middle seams. Don't forget to pin both sides. Okay, so I went ahead and I finished up the understitching on the bodice and the lining, just like this, and stitched down the zipper side. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and turn under the lining. And on this one, you can, you're going to end up stitching in a ditch. So you turn down the lining. A lot of times this can be done beforehand. You can just turn the seam allowance up before you attach the lining to the bodice. I like to do mine afterwards because I'm always adjusting by a smidgen just to make sure my and this is with most patterns that I put lining in. For some reason, I'm always making adjustments, so I end up having to adjust my seam allowance when I turn under and stitch under the ditch so it's neat on the inside. So I just go ahead and do it, turn it under after I get it attached. All right, so I'm going to do this all the way around, and I'm going to press it And then I'm going to take it to the machine and stitch in the ditch. All right, I'm gonna give this a press and then go ahead and stitch in the ditch. Okay, so once you do the understitching at the bodice, you're pretty much done. All that's left to do now is to do the hem. And for the hem, we're going to do a narrow hem. Okay, so the best way to do that, or how I like to do it on slippery satin and chiffon and lightweight fabrics such as this, I like to go ahead and do a serge of the bottom and then do a fourth of an inch stitch around, and then turn it on the stitch, turn it on the inside, and then turn it again. So that's what I'm going to do. This is the finished 1/4 inch hem. Your dress is complete. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And for more DIY style and sewing tips, follow me on IG at KichiBStyle. Peace.